I cheated after 13 years of marriage. While he was out of town, he came back and destroyed everything. My life is completely over. I had gone and overdone it, and now I don't know if there's any going back from this. I didn't know that one night of pleasure could end up ruining everything you've ever worked for. I didn't know that I could end up with this immense level of pain because of my mistake. I just wasn't thinking right. I cheated on my husband. I cheated on him after 13 years of marriage while he was out of town, and somehow Dave found out, and when he got back, he destroyed everything. Everything that I've ever known and should cherish more than just one night of pleasure. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have given into it. I shouldn't have allowed another man to touch me the way Dave never had in years. I know it was wrong, but it felt so right at that moment, and I didn't know I was only going to end up ruining my entire life. I've been married to Dave for 13 years now. Yesterday was supposed to be our 13th year anniversary. Dave had promised me a week-long trip for this anniversary. We never got to celebrate our other anniversaries as much because of our kids, and also because of tight work schedules. But we had everything planned out. He was going to take the kids to spend the week with their grandparents while we enjoyed ourselves thoroughly. Dave had also planned to take a week break from work too, so we could just have fun. I was looking forward to it, and I already had a suitcase full of new clothes for the trip. I even bought sexy lingerie to surprise Dave with when we got there to remind him of what he had been missing. It was supposed to be perfect until it just wasn't. Dave and I were happily married, and in fact we truly were happy until 3 years ago when that horrible thing had happened. We met in the university and got together, and we got married almost immediately after graduation. We didn't want to wait too long before doing so. We were so in love with each other, and our parents also approved of us, so there was really nothing stopping us. We had everyone's blessings, and we really did strive as a couple. Our kids came almost immediately after we got married, so I decided not to work, so I could take care of them while Dave provided for us. Dave never forced me to give up working. I chose to do so myself, and he made sure we never had any issues of money. He was a good man and a great husband and father. There was really nothing we wanted for as a family. He was a great listener and a loving husband who helped with the kids anytime he was home. He never dismissed my fears or worries, but he would slowly and carefully ease them. He was my anchor, and I realized just how much I had depended on him for everything only now when everything is crumbling. But then 3 years ago, Dave had lost his dad, and therefore he had to take over the family business, as his father had always wanted. He never wanted to be involved in the family business, and had chosen a different path against his parents' wishes. But when his dad died, he had to step up and take the role, and that really took a toll on our family. Dave was still the same man I married, but everything was just different in a way. Or maybe it was just me being selfish. Taking over that family business meant he was away most of the time. His parents lived in a different state from us, and that was where the family business was. But we couldn't exactly get up and leave like that because of the kids. We didn't want to upset their lives by just suddenly packing and leaving. I was for it, but Dave was against the idea. The children loved their school and were always excitedly talking about their friends and the things they did in school each day. Dave didn't want to change that. He didn't want them to have to start adjusting to a new place in school when he could easily travel back and forth. It meant less time with us, especially with me, his wife, but I was willing to cope and bear with it at first. But eventually, it became too much for me. Most times I craved Dave's touch and got nothing because he's in a different state entirely. I couldn't go to him except when he came to us because of the kids. It was frustrating having to stay at home all day and having nothing to do except wait for the children. Repeating the same cycle each day was boring, and I knew I had to do something about it. So at first I picked up crocheting as a hobby. Something to do to pass time. My mother did it all the time. She could sit there on her rocking chair for hours and just knit. So I thought it was easy, but I quit after the first class. Then I picked up another hobby, but dealing with too much clay wasn't nice. I thought I could get a job to keep myself busy, but I found out that I enjoyed my freedom more than anything, especially after working for a month. I didn't have anything to do to keep myself busy, so I just started to resent the whole thing. I couldn't stop myself from feeling worthless. The kids I spent most of the time with always preferred their father whenever he came around. It was almost like I never existed. I started to feel really insecure, and it just got worse over those 3 years. The more time Dave spent away from home, the more I feared that I became less pretty. It was crazy, right? I knew he was there working, and he wasn't the type to cheat. And when he did come home, he never sneaked around to take strange calls. He had no new woman he was seeing. I know that because I've checked his phone countless times to find some incriminating evidence, but I found none. I was growing restless, and I didn't know what the cause was. I just felt really unseen, and that had led me to seek some delusional attention outside my marriage. I met Will online. It was on this dating app that I downloaded out of boredom. I overheard one lady talking about it at the salon where I usually get my hair done. So out of curiosity, I downloaded it to see what it was really about. Still out of curiosity, I uploaded a picture of me to see whether or not I would get other men to notice me, and they really did. It was just a picture I took myself. I was wearing lingerie and feeling so sexy, and I had taken a picture with the intention of sending it to Dave, but eventually lost the nerve to do so. But that day I was feeling really brave, and I had uploaded it on that site. I got the attention I craved within hours. Men were crossing my DM, and I got my pick of men. I was happy, and I spent hours chatting with different men, each of them making me feel differently. Although my face was not in view in the picture, it was shocking to get that sort of attention, the one I thought I was craving for. I spent the next few days flirting with men online. It was nothing. It meant nothing to me. I was just having fun. I wasn't even sleeping with anyone, just sending them a few teasing pictures when they begged for it. Some offered me money to even show them more, but I wasn't there for the money, and refusing whatever they offered made them even more interested. I did this for 1 week, and then I almost got caught by Dave, who had come around that weekend to spend time with us. I carelessly dropped my phone on the bed while I went to the bathroom, and a notification had popped up from the app. Luckily, Dave hadn't checked the app yet to see the exact message because he had easy access to my phone. I forgot passwords easily, and so Dave had been the one to set our kid's birthday date as our password so I didn't forget. But he hadn't checked and had only simply asked me what the app was about. I lied to him that it was just an app my friend had used on my phone to check out her account when it wouldn't work on hers. I told him I forgot to delete it since then, and her messages must have popped up. Dave said nothing about the app again. He only asked me to delete the app so I wouldn't invade her privacy by accident. To make sure Dave didn't suspect me again, I deleted the app right in front of him. But after he left again for work, I installed it again and continued chatting with those men. Whenever Dave was around, it became a routine: delete the app and focus on being a good wife and mother. But whenever Dave wasn't around, I installed the app again, and I continued with what I was doing, flirting so much with those men. But then one particular day, someone caught my eye. He was on the app quite all right, and he had texted me, but it felt different from the other men. It was obvious that those ones were after who they would sleep with or get to view naked pictures of. But Will was definitely different. He was curious about me and about knowing different things other than the sexy me in lingerie. Will was a good conversationalist. He flirted with me, but he never did overdo it like the other men did. He knew how to carry you along and made you feel good just talking to him, and slowly, I started to adjust to the emotions he provoked out of me. I started looking forward to talking to him, and he never disappointed me. He was always texting me. We spoke mainly about me each day, and barely anything about him. He knew more things about me than Dave did. I told him about how I was feeling in my marriage and how everything turned out to be and how I ended up on the app. He knew my deepest fears and greatest desires, and I barely knew anything about him except when he told me once that he had a wife, but they were apparently going through a rough patch. Soon our conversation hesitated from just talking about random things into flirting ones. It was even more exciting than those other men. In fact, I was ignoring the other men's messages and talked only to Will. He knew just how to make me feel really good, and I liked the feeling so much. Then we started sending each other pictures, although he never sends me any pictures showing his face. It became like a little teasing game between us. We never sent pictures with our faces, but our body parts in view. We literally had sex online, and what made it more intriguing to me at that moment was the fact that we never saw each other. I know how stupid that sounds now, but at that moment, all I wanted, craved, was that feeling of being wanted, and I got it with Will, so I didn't mind. After about a month of the back and forth between Will and I, he asked us to meet up. But I hesitated. I didn't know what he looked like, and there was nobody I could tell about what was going on. So I kept pushing our meeting until the end of the second month of our affair online. I hadn't even meant to go. I was just really upset about something, and I decided to text Will to meet up, and he agreed instantly. It was Dave that made me upset. We finally agreed that his job and the kids were taking too much of our couple's time, and that it was best we reconnected. Dave told me he wanted us to go on a trip. Luckily, the kids were going to be on their summer break, and he already asked my parents if they would want to have them for about a week, and they were very excited to have them. I was so excited about the trip that I had gone shopping for it. But then, a week before that time, Dave had an important business deal and had to travel again, but this time, he wasn't sure he was going to be back in time for our trip. I was so angry and texted Will to meet up with me, and I let him set the date and time. I don't know what I was thinking or why I thought I could get away with it, but I did, and it's just really awful. Will met up with me that evening. I had asked the kids to go to bed early and then sneaked out of the house. I went to the address he sent me earlier that day when I texted him that I was ready to meet. He organized everything, including the place we were meeting. My only condition had been that it had to be in the evening because I didn't want anyone seeing us together. It was only when I got to the rather shabby-looking hotel that what I was doing really hit me, but I was too far into it to care. What made me decide to go ahead with it even more as I went to the room Will had told me he reserved for us and was waiting for me in it was when I got a text on my phone. It was from Dave. He was apologizing for not being able to make our trip and wanted to know if we could reschedule or the trip for some other day. I was even more pissed, and I just ignored the message and proceeded to meet Will, who was waiting for me. Will was not the person I expected or had imagined him to be. He was quite short, a lot shorter than I was, and his body looked very different from the pictures he usually would send me. He had a protruding belly, and not the abs in the pictures he usually sent me. When he saw me and smiled, his teeth felt like they were incomplete because of how scantily they were arranged. But I didn't care at that point. All I wanted was all the promises of the sexual fulfillment he had promised me. So when he asked me to remove my dress, I did as he asked. I didn't mind that he was speaking to me like some paid sex worker instead of a woman who had come willingly. He removed his clothes too and asked me to lay down in the bed that looked like it would collapse any minute. But I still did as he asked, without questions. I let him touch me the way he wanted, and eventually when he finally slipped into me, I started regretting my actions instantly. It was less than expected, way below standards. He didn't sound like the Will I usually spoke to over the phone, with all those sultry voices he usually used. He didn't look like the picture he had created in my mind, and I almost pushed him off of me, but I just left him to finish up. He didn't even take more than 10 minutes before he was done, and I just, without any words, got up and wore my panties and then my clothes. Will said nothing, just watched me silently as I picked my stuff and proceeded to leave. He didn't even text me to ask if I had gotten home. He just stopped talking to me. But I had a bigger problem than that, and I never knew. It was only when I checked my phone that I realized in horror what I had done. I didn't know that when I saw Dave's text and angrily swiped it away, I had mistakenly called him, and Dave heard everything. I was so scared when I realized that I dialed his number and that he stayed on the phone throughout the duration of everything that happened between Will and I. I started panicking. I called him, but he wasn't picking up. I texted him, but Dave wouldn't reply. I didn't know what to do. I was so scared, and I kept hyperventilating throughout that night till the next morning. I tried to prepare the kids for school while trying to conceal my feelings, but even they suspected that I was not happy. After I dropped them off, I came back home and kept trying to reach Dave, but he still wouldn't respond to me. When Dave finally came home, his response to everything had been the worst. I couldn't stay at home being scared, so I went to a friend's place and explained everything to her. But instead of trying to help me look for a solution, she blamed me and kept doing so until I eventually left her place feeling more guilty and conflicted. I didn't know what to do. I got home to meet the greatest shock of my life. Dave was home, and he wasn't just sitting quietly in his study like he had always done. Dave was dragging out some luggages. Mine. He was dragging my bags out and throwing them into a huge fire that he must have started. I was crying and begging Dave to listen to me. I wanted him to hear me out. I was trying to get him to just stop, but he wouldn't. He was so angry and just pushed me aside when I tried to touch him. After he was satisfied with what he had done, He faced me and told me to leave and that he never wanted to see me around him or our kids again. I couldn't stop crying. I cried all the way to my parents' place when I finally was able to get myself to leave. My parents didn't know what was wrong and kept asking me for the truth. But when I finally told them, even though they had refused to accommodate me, they threw me out, and my father had told me that he never wanted to see me again because I was a disgrace to him. My life was literally over. Dave had destroyed everything, and he had even proceeded to block my card, the one he gave me to buy anything I wanted. I didn't have any money or anywhere to go. Eventually, I was able to go back home with the money I managed to gather from my other account, which I never used since I got married and got a small room, one close enough but far away from the house. I wanted to see them. I wanted to get the opportunity to go back. I thought if I kept going back and Dave saw me, he would perhaps forgive me, maybe for the kids. But that had not happened, and it's been a week already. Yesterday, I saw my mother-in-law in the house when I went there after going for the whole week without getting any access to anyone. But my mother-in-law, who had always adored me and cherished me, she had always treated me like her own daughter, but this time was different. She was looking at me in disgust, and she told me never to come back. That she was disgusted by me. She told me she never wanted to see me around her grandkids. She threatened to call the security guard when I kept crying and begging for her to listen to me. I realized just how horrible my life has turned out now, just because of one night I spent in the arms of another man. I feel so terrible, and I regret everything I've done. I wish there was something I could do, something to win back the heart of my husband. I don't want to divorce him. I don't want to stop being the mother of my kids. Is there something or anything I could do? I'm desperate, guys, please. Update. Hello, Reddits. It's been a hellish 3 months. My life is just not what it used to be. I've been reduced to nothing, absolutely nothing, especially in the eyes of those I used to mean the world to. My friends, my family, Dave and the kids. No one cares about me anymore. No one wanted anything to do with me. I've been left alone, and I can tell you how choking it has been staying alone with no one around. No one to care for or to care for you. No one you needed to tell you tie their shoelaces. No one to watch out for their school friends to see if they weren't bad influences. No one to care for if they were sick. No one to kiss you goodnight and hold you tight throughout the night and repeat the process every night like they weren't ever tired of you. There's no one to love me, because I've lost them. I pushed them away with my selfish and stupid actions. I had done the wrongest thing, and now I have nothing but consequences of my actions right in front of me. I've had to watch from afar my kids going out and laughing, trying to get on in life without me in the picture. I've seen them from a distance hanging out with their friends and looking even more happy. I've seen them with their father, who smiled at them, looking like everything was fine with them. They look so fine without me. It's so painful. It's so painful that they've moved on without me in the picture. It's so painful to realize just how easily one could get replaced, even if you were a wife and mother. It's so painful seeing them living their lives, ignoring me like I never existed. It hurts so badly, knowing that I'm the cause of that. It's all my fault that they no longer regard me or care about me. It's not their fault that I walk around the street in glasses and scarves to go with it, just to keep people from recognizing me. It's not their fault that I now sleep in a small room that couldn't have passed for a cottage, one that is cold and, despite being so small, empty. I sincerely wish I had done better, that I have not been as stupid as I was and made all the decisions I made. Now I'm stuck with the what-ifs and whys that don't have answers. I wish I could desperately just turn back the hands of time right from the beginning, when I started going on that app to seek for attention that was never missing, or when I had gone to meet him at that hotel that night. I wish I had the privilege to just undo everything I did. I threw 13 years of my life away for just a night that wasn't even worth it at all. I feel so stupid remembering that I have finally lost everything because of my foolish behavior. I behaved totally and completely like a sex worker, and that fact alone makes my head and heart ache so badly. My brain and my heart are now at crossroads with each other. My brain keeps remembering every single detail of that wedding when I thought it wise to flirt with another man, and even went as far as meeting up with him in that hotel that evening to sleep with him. I keep remembering that evening when Alex had looked at me differently. Not with love or adoration, as he had for the past 13 years that we've been married for. Dave looked at me in disgust, and that alone will forever haunt me, because I did that. I caused that look in his eyes with my actions, and I feel so terrible. It doesn't help matters that you guys are trying your very best to make me feel even more terrible. Your cruel words, each carefully constructed to push into me even deeper than knife in my chest. Your backlash comments leave me breathless with tears every time I read them. It's so horrible. I know I'm at fault. I did everything I came here to explain, but no one had even tried to see my pain and my desperation to make amends. Everyone is refusing to see just how badly hurt I am by my actions and how regretful I already am. You guys just went straight for the kill, punishing me more than I already am being punished for my sins. I know I never should have come here to explain knowing I will receive judgments, but then again, it was my last hope, my last attempt at redemption, and yet all I eventually got was disappointment and even more guilt to deal with. I got nothing, no encouragement, no advice on how to work things out with Dave from you guys, just pure hatred. Being ignored by the people that once adored me was already too much for me, but coming here with my whole life story and still getting the same response is a whole lot of baggage to deal with. I've been stuck in this room trying hard to make sense of everything else, but nothing makes sense. My life simply doesn't make sense, not anymore, not those guys on social media having a field's day with my life, not with you guys right here insulting me, not with my whole life falling apart, and especially not without Dave. Nothing, absolutely nothing makes sense without him in my life, and it's so painful I realize that only too late. I should never have cheated. It's so awful knowing that I could have made better decisions. I should have never cheated on Dave. He was perfect, too perfect for me, and yet I was too blinded by my selfishness to see truly what gift I had until I lost it. I wish there was really some sort of way to redeem myself, but there's nothing. My parents still won't speak to me. I tried calling my mom with a new phone number I got, and she picked up on the second ring, sounding so happy, and I could hear my father laughing in the background. It was obvious they've thought nothing of me since then, so I just ended the call and never called again. She didn't call me back either. She must have guessed who it was. It's funny how the one person that I did it with is no longer in the picture. He didn't even call or text me after that night. He already got what he wanted from me, obviously, and saw that he had no use for me. I cannot even believe I allowed someone like him to touch me, or even sleep with me with his awkward body structure. I should have run out of that hotel room and never returned. I should have stayed far away from that app. I should have talked to Dave about my feelings. If we had to move away, the kids would be upset, but will eventually settle and make new friends. They were still young and could have easily adjusted. They could have made new friends, and within a year would be back to being happy kids. I could have easily convinced Dave so we could be together instead of staying so far away from each other like we were doing. I feel so terrible knowing that I could have made better decisions, but I didn't, and now it's so terrible. I keep remembering just how angry Dave had been dragging my bags and flinging them out, and the way he had set them ablaze when I wouldn't leave and kept trying to push them back in. I remember the way he had looked at me in disgust afterwards before slamming the door in my face. It's like my brain is a broken recorder replaying that particular night over and over again, and the more it does, the more painful it is for me. Update. Hello, Reddits. This is my last post here, and I know how happy you guys are to get rid of me. Your comments on my previous posts weren't exactly happy ones either. I've managed to receive even more criticism than I had in the last one, and I'm sure this post too will receive the same level of hatred and criticism. But I do not have a choice. At least you guys here read my post and then drop off your not so very nice comments. That at least is a level of acknowledgement. My reality is a different one entirely. It's so silent and dark and empty, almost hollow. Having to have myself for company all day long and nights too is agony. You don't know how badly I wish I wasn't the one going through all of this mess, and I just get to sit with my phone and also comment on what a messed up life it is. It's so hard silencing the voices in my head yelling numerous times a day how much I messed up. I have no one, absolutely no one is on my side. I miss them so much. It's so painful that I never appreciated the things I got for free and thought of them as normal, until I actually now have the opposite, and would give literally anything to get, even if it was only a day of that time again. I would love to make my girls' hair again and bond them in those cute ribbons. I would love to drive them to school and back again. I would love to be Dave's wife again and not this divorced, sad woman that I've become. I would love to just be able to be a big part of my family like I once always was. Play games with the kids, do their assignments with them, get to kiss and be kissed by Dave, get those gifts every time he comes back from his trips, and still just be married and be happy. I regret so deeply ever meeting Will, and I regret ever allowing him to seduce me out of my marriage. But I cannot even bring myself to blame him, as it was never his fault to begin with. If I hadn't shown interest or started to talk about my issues to him, nothing would have happened between us. I would still be safely married to Dave and be the mother of my kids. Or no, before that, if I had never thought of creating that account and posting that silly picture, if I had more sense and had sat with Dave and told him how I was feeling, and together we had gone on the journey of helping me feel needed or wanted, then I wouldn't be here at all writing all of these, or wishing for things that I can never have now. I wouldn't be here reading cruel comments about how much I deserve everything I got, or how I behaved totally like a sex worker. I would be in my husband's arms and be debating right now on what gifts to get Evie because her birthday is in 2 days. I cannot believe that from now on, I don't get the privilege that I had taken for granted before to be my children's mom, to tuck them in for bed, kiss their forehead, and read them bedtime stories, particularly Bella, who loves fairy tales. I cannot believe that I wouldn't be there when they scrape their knees and pat them while they cry when they're sick, or be there to hug and cheer them on as they win their prizes in school. I've lost all the privileges to be a wife and a mother because I was being so selfish. I thought I was unsatisfied and unhappy before. Well, now I understand exactly what it means to be unhappy, because being unhappy is not being able to be my children's mom and being my husband's wife, and I regret so deeply that I'm only realizing that now when the deed has been done, when I have completely and totally ruined my life. I cannot believe I was so stupid to think that cheating was the best way to get over my feelings, which now that I think of it is just being greedy. Dave had been the best husband to me and father to our kids, and he had no blemish whatsoever that I could fault him for being the reason I cheated. But yet I managed to convince myself that I was unhappy, and that had been my response to my unhappiness. I feel so lonely and out of place, because the only place I'll rather ever be is longer within my reach. And the thought that someone else might have the opportunity to kiss and cuddle my kids during movie nights and kiss Dave goodbye when he went on his trips just makes my chest constrict even more. The thoughts that Dave would probably move on one day with another woman who would know his worth, who would understand just how spectacular he is and will treat him as well as he should have been treated. A woman so beautiful that Alex will remember nothing of me other than a biased decision he made towards helping someone like me who still ended up disappointing him. A woman who will love him the way he deserves to be loved, and she would cherish him and treat him right. A woman who will replace me in my kids' lives. A woman who definitely never cheats or behaves as wantonly as I have. A woman who is not me. My head hurts, and my heart just squeezes more painfully thinking about all the opportunities I have for over 3 years to understand just how important Dave was to me, but I refuse to see it. And now that I've lost that chance, I'm seeing it clearly. I'm seeing it so clearly, and it hurts so badly. Now that I have no one on my side, no one to tell me that it would be all right, that I will get by even though it's a lie because I know there's no getting past this. I hate this. I hate the situation that is now my life, and most importantly, I hate myself for creating this mess. But it's all just wishful thinking, isn't it? I will never get a second chance, not when Dave clearly hates me so much. But that is never going to happen, is it? Because life doesn't do do-overs. So I'm stuck, in this time with no end, just a repetition of everything I've done wrong, which is literally everything. It's sad how I've ended my own life. Dave will never forgive me, and neither will my kids when they're old enough to know just how badly I have behaved. I've been ousted by the 3 people I love the most in the world, and it is totally my fault. I probably should have never started what I couldn't finish. Now all I can do is just spend my life on this uncertain journey of the rest of my life that only promises 2 things: pain and torment. Thanks and goodbye, guys.